Hello, I'm Amy. I'm a location manager in the UK and I'm on lockdown. Like everybody, I thought that I would go through my phone and I would see if there was anybody who I could call to see if they had any tips for junior crew members about their years of experience in the industry. I thought I would call it Ask the Question. Today I spoke to Jonah Coombes. He's a supervising location manager with 20 years experience as a location manager. He's worked with people like Roger Michelle on independent movies. He headed up the Paddington and Paddington 2 teams. He's worked with Hollywood greats like Ron Howard and David Fincher, and he has more recently been doing big action stuff with Johnny English and Morbius. So I'm really glad that he could join us and share his knowledge, and here we go. Ask the question. Hi Jonah, thanks so much for agreeing to answer these questions today. How did you get your first break in the industry?
When I started out, which was many years ago, we were doing commercials and music videos, or at least that was the standard routine. I did a commercial I got brought in to try and help with a commercial that was going wrong for Matalan, of all people. The director, his partner was putting together a very low budget film called The Mother, and they were looking for a location manager, and he told his wife, "Oh my God, this guy's amazing. You fucking sorted it right out for us." You have to excuse my language. I have occasional potty mouth. And it went really well. So anyway, I went to meet her, and she took me to meet somebody called Roger Michelle. And I had no idea who he was. The internet didn't really exist as it does today, so I couldn't really look him up, or didn't even think to look him up. And so I just went to see this guy in his kitchen and sort of spoke to him about what I did and showed him some photographs, and he asked me to do his film. Just went from film to film to film to film to film after that. That was my routine, and it was very fortuitous because of a certain number of circumstances, but ultimately it was because I knocked on the door and I had a look and I was persistent, ultimately.
Our next question is, what is your favourite film that you worked on?
One I'm most proud of, I think the Paddington films are the ones that people want to talk about the most. So I'd say they're up there. Historically, 28 Weeks Later was one that I was also very proud of, because we basically made London look abandoned and apocalyptic, and that hadn't really been done much before. And on 28 Days Later, they shot in the summer, so they were able to sort of turn over at like 4 a.m. for daytime, whereas we shot 28 Weeks Later in the winter, so we couldn't really shoot much before 8 a.m. What we achieved on that, I'm certainly very proud of. Recently, I did a film called Morbius, which hasn't come out yet, where we shot everything here in the UK, and it was set entirely in New York City. Product, I think, again, the Paddington films are great. Sorry, the other film that I think is very good is Never Let Me Go. What we achieved on that, and what I think we got as the end result is very, very good. And it knits together a whole host of locations that are all portrayed as being the same place or in the same building, and in actual fact that it's made up of like 5 or 6 different interiors. Pleasure, not the Paddington films, because they were really hard. Tamara Drew in all its glory, and a film called Their Finest. Those are 2 films that we shot in a very beautiful part of the UK, outside of very far from London. There was a real community, family. It was small. It was everyone kind of knew each other, and we were all living in roughly the same part of the world, and it was a very beautiful part of the world. And they were just really, really lovely films where we made great friends with lots of lovely people, and they stand out as being the ones that I think I enjoyed the most.
So next, we'd like you to tell us about your best and worst days on set.
Best day, it's going back some, but 28 Weeks Later, seeing the car chase sequence as we sort of put it together, and being a part of that in terms of locking down Parliament Square and Whitehall, and phoning London Traffic Control Centre at the time to stop all the lights, phasing the lights, keep the traffic away from us, and we were still shooting at midday and clearing the whole area of tourists. I mean, it was pretty incredible getting the call from Downing Street and telling us that they understood that we were responsible for all of the delays that were being caused around Downing Street. I mean, that was quite a fun call to get, I suppose. Worst day, filming in town in and around King's College. That might be the worst day I've possibly had on set.
Have you had a location fall through at the last minute?
Have I had a location fall through at the last minute? No. It was close. They've never not, you know, I've lost locations in advance, close to them in terms of like, you know, but then finding something else and slotting something else in, or, you know, I've never not been in a situation where the units turned up and we haven't been able to shoot. But what did happen with the King's College thing was we were dealing with quite a different character there. He took it upon himself to basically put me in a corner and try to pull out last minute. And we'd already built an interior that was based on an exterior that he effectively controlled. And he got it in his head that he wanted to just be the person to be able to call shots and try to pull the rug from under us. And I had 24 hours to basically turn the decision around, because there was no option to put something else in, because we'd already shot the interior that was based on the exterior. We had already established our tech base. We had already been shooting at another location that was next to that location that we were going to be moving to the next day. And it was just like that day, trying to resolve that was absolutely my worst day in my work, without question. Actually, it was Nigel Gale in his former role at Westminster Events and Film Office that came to the rescue. And to this day, I salute him and herald him as being the saviour of that production.
What is your favourite part of our job?
I like the beginning bits. I like getting the script, reading the script for the first time, discovering who is going to be in this story and where they're going to live and where they go to work and what happens, and then thinking about the look of it and talking to the design and the director and examining the patterns and textures and the feel for what we're doing and the world that we're setting it in, and then those early forays out into the unknown and the journey, the beginning of the journey. That first bit, the creamy development bit, where it's just ideas, there's no pressure on you, and it's months before you get anywhere near a shoot. You may not even have a shoot start date set up yet. So
what do you look for? What do you look for when you're taking a job?
I mean, it starts with the people, like who's involved, the director, the producer, the designer. And I also quite like to switch between period and contemporary, because it's liberating when you do a contemporary film that's set in the place where you're filming and you're not having to change everything and continually examining whether that's the right day or is that the right kind of window. But it's also quite challenging, and it's quite interesting to be given those constraints, and quite good to be given those constraints, because when you can shoot anywhere, because it's a contemporary film set in the place where you're actually filming, then there is no pressure on a designer or director to make a decision about something, because there is a never-ending supply of options.
Do you have a favourite bit of kit? And what is in your location's go bag?
Favourite bit of kit's got to be my camera, or my car, or my motorbike, all of which are essential. And what's in my bag? Laptop, camera, hard drive, notebook, script, schedule, sun cream.
Wellies or walking boots?
Well, neither. But if I have to, walking boots. I don't own a pair of wellies.
How do you persuade someone to give you permission?
It's all about rapport and trust, and managing to tune into people. And I think what we do in the location department, if we do it right, we have the skill to be able to engage with people from all walks of life. And I think it's important for us not to change what we're going to say, but perhaps be able to change how we say it in order to be able to build that trust, that rapport, and to make that connection with people. And I think once you've established that rapport and that trust, it's a sort of a steady, gentle process of working out what do they want and what are they hoping to get or hoping to gain from this experience. And it's not about what are they in it for, and those sorts of questions should naturally be sort of posed to yourself when working out how best to engage with someone and encourage them or persuade them or invite them to be involved in the project. The last thing that we want to do is to persuade someone to do something that they actually don't want to do. And we can be very persuasive. Look into my eyes. If you ask someone whether they want to do something and they say no, should probably take that as their response. But sometimes you just got to crack it open. You know, it's a fine line between pushing someone, coercion, manipulation, all those negative traits, and building trust and rapport and encouragement and reassurance and care and addressing concerns and making sure that they feel comfortable. You know, and it's a balance, and it's a delicate process. How do we persuade people? I think we just look them in the eye and we establish that trust.
Any tips for progressing through your career?
Open-mindedness, adaptability. Things always change, and we need to be able to hear the dreadful news that the thing that you've been working on for the past 2 months has been cut. Or turning up on the day and saying, no, we're not looking that way. We want to look over there. But you have to be diligent, and you have to be absolutely fastidious about the attention to detail, and you need to reassure and be confident and be supportive and persistent, tenacious spirit of wanting and giving and contributing and sharing. And, you know, the location department is a fantastic guide for all of that stuff, because you have to change and flex and switch, and you have to be able to give people what they need, and then at a point be able to say to them, no, that's no longer possible, and have the strength and courage to be able to do that. And when you do that, they need to know that, okay, ordinarily he doesn't say no, and he does everything he can to give us what we need. And so when I say no, which I very rarely do, if I have to say no, people know that it's a no. They will always push.
What advice would you give to someone who's starting out in the industry?
You obviously need to be able to cope with pressure and responsibility. So assuming you can cope with the pressure and the responsibility, you have an attention to detail, and you're organised, and you have some creative spirit that you can bring to the table in terms of interpreting a script and a narrative and having ideas about locations and all the rest of it. And it isn't rocket science, but it is, when you think about everything that goes together with what we do, it is difficult, and it's challenging, and it's extremely rewarding and very fulfilling. And I would say that the location department is the perfect balance. It gives you a sense of all of the other departments. You have the opportunity to engage with and work with all of the other departments. You make decisions that affect the whole look of the film, the shape of the schedule, and everything that the film becomes. You're there at the very beginning, you're there at the very end. If you're going to distill it down, and I say this, and it's a bit glib perhaps, but one of the things that I like to say to the younger members, or the less experienced members of the team who are just starting out, there's a key that I think is worth having in mind, which is you need to be able to ask someone to do something that they don't want to do, or not to do something that they really do want to do, without upsetting them. If you can dance around someone, not literally of course, if you can engage with someone and feel what they're saying and what they want, and bring them round to your way of thinking and keep them on side, and get them to do the thing that you need them to do, or not to do the thing that they want to do or that you don't want them to do, whilst maintaining a good working relationship with them, then I think from that point forwards, the location world will be your lobster.
Smug Mug or Dropbox?
Smug Mug? Dropbox. The reason I like Dropbox is because I am an absolute nut for organising my folders. And so I think it's very important to be able to organise your folders. Organise your folders, organise your folders, organise your folders, because you never know when the producer, the director, the designer is going to suddenly say to you, Jonah, can we quickly have a look at this, 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 or this? And if you're floundering around trying to find stuff, that's a no-no. And you've always got your laptop with you, you've always got your folders at the ready. For me, Dropbox is the perfect way to organise your folders by script reference and your locations, and you can even create folders that are particular angles or particular rooms or are aligned by the narrative. So yeah, Dropbox for me, and make sure your folders are all organised.
What's the best way to celebrate the end of a job?
I'd say taking the team out for dinner for a healthy bit of cathartic reflection, moving swiftly into some unbridled revelry and letting one's hair down.
On that note, Thank you so much for taking the time
Yeah,
to answer our questions.
I hope it's of some use to you.
Really great. Thank you.